No, I'm teasing. All right, I'll go ahead and call the fourth and I guess final meeting of the Budget Review Subcommittee on General Government session called to order. And I think I'm the only member here today at this time anyway. There's several committees going on and it's just a busy time. So I do ask that you mute your cell phones, and if our first presenters would like to come up. Oh, you still have to call roll? Yeah, we'll wait. Okay. And at this time, the State Board of Elections, I'll let you introduce yourselves and go ahead and proceed.
I'm Karen Sellers, Executive Director of the State Board of Elections.
And I'm the staff assistant. I'm Rachel Poynter.
Yeah.
Sorry, I forgot you wanted me up.
At the State Board of Elections. Oh, did it just now come on? Okay. I'm Rachel Poynter. I'm the staff assistant at the State Board of Elections who does budget and grant administration.
My name's Tom Watson. I'm the IT director for the State Board of Elections.
And with me in the audience today is Taylor Brown, our General Counsel, should we have any questions, and Richard House, Assistant Director. So, and appreciate the opportunity to be here today and update you on our in-house e-poll book project. If you'd like, we'll go ahead and get started.
Yes, go ahead.
Okay. So we thought, what is an electronic poll book? Many of you have already maybe used it when you went to the polling location, but it is the hardware and software that allows administration of voter information for an election. It serves the same purpose as poll books or paper rosters that we used in the past up until I think 2020 was the first year that it was fully implemented across the state. The poll books verify that a person is eligible to vote. It uses the driver's license or an ID. It will verify whether or not they've already voted. If it's a person that applied for an absentee ballot, it will pull up that ballot has already been issued and returned. So it's a quick and easy way to check in voters at the polling location and move them on with their ballot. It also provides a signed historical record of each voter's check-in. So we will have that history as the polls close. It also captures when and where the vote was cast. If a person went to a vote center and they cast their ballot at 1:23, it's going to capture that information when they signed in. It also provides the voter with the correct ballot. So if they're at a vote center and it has all the precincts there, the poll book will allow the ability to pull up what precinct and what ballot that voter should receive. Also, these systems are in no way connected to the voting equipment or the internet for the voting equipment. And the centralized data, the voter data for all Kentuckians, is securely housed at an entirely separate SBE server system owned by SBE. It is our system. So when we reached out to do the budget, the biennium budget, it came to our senior engineer here and architect that developing our own in-house solution would be, it would be a good thing for all of Kentucky. So we began the process of putting that in our biennium budget. It allows voter data to be kept entirely at the agency. It would be totally secure there. All communications are kept within the secure Kentucky network that is part of the SBE network of voter data. It removes the complexity presented by having multiple vendors. It's housed in one location. Similar, our voter registration system is one. It's us, not multiple vendors. Modifications and functionality can be added more efficiently if it's, our system. We can upgrade as we need. Customization, if we want to do any customization to the system, it is more financially affordable in that sense because we are doing it ourselves. Each poll book is synchronized via a secure connection to SBE servers and no other place. All data is readily available for backup and verification purposes. So, for instance, on Election Day, we are able to verify, update throughout the voting process. And we believe it's more financially beneficial for the counties because we, started this process to have support and maintenance be offered through the state as opposed to individual counties and help them with their election expenses. So just to give you an update on our projects, our investments to date, we have acquired 2 help desk personnel and 1 junior programmer. We have apportioned existing personnel costs where it's applicable to this project, where we can move them to that project. Training and equipment for existing and new employees that will provide us, an ability to continue the project. We've also acquired new and upgraded existing personnel hardware. Investments we believe by the close of fiscal year 23. Continued training for existing and new employees. We're ongoing with that and have been now as we bring new people on. We're acquiring 1 new network analyst employee. We are acquiring new server security and load balancing hardware. That's a little over my head. That's an IT piece. So if someone has a question about that, I certainly will defer to Tom. And new servers, which people are kind of familiar with servers. I'm not as familiar detail-wise, but that helps to isolate the data. And acquiring new server switches, again, that's IT lingo. And acquiring enterprise server software and maintenance contracts. And acquiring devices and software for development and testing. And all of these pieces we need in place before we can move forward with the true development of the project. So,
Representative?
I sincerely apologize for being here late from another committee, but could you, in the Reader's Digest version, tell me what this does?
So back in the budget, back in the biennium when we were preparing our biennium budget last year, that's part of this fiscal 23 and 24, we determined that building our own in-house, SBE building our own in-house e-poll book project would be beneficial to the counties and all Kentuckians, as opposed to having multiple vendors as part of the poll book project. So that's why we did it. We decided it was the right thing to do. We, already own our voter registration data that is statewide, that's housed at SBE. We also have the absentee portal, which is housed at SBE, and we built that ourselves. We also have the election night reporting, which we house that ourselves and built that ourselves. And part of the reason we built that ourselves is to remove ourselves from a vendor that was foreign. And so now all of these pieces that we house at SBE are domestic.
Thank you very much.
You're
Again,
welcome.
Apologies. Thank you.
That's
Mr. Chairman.
fine.
And this may not be what you do, but I know back home, some of the poll workers that work at the different precincts, I know there's issues with finding people to do this work. The pay's not great, the hours are long, and is there any mechanism to improve that you could suggest?
Well, now that you mention it, I would like to mention, and Rachel may know it quicker, KRS 117,345. That provides $255 per precinct, an amount that is currently maintenance, or currently an amount that counties apply to us or provide an application to us, and we pay them $255 per precinct. So given that, $255 probably doesn't pay for one poll worker at one precinct in many counties. Some counties are $100 per poll worker, so some are $300 per poll worker. Depends on how hard it is. But one of the things that, looking toward the 2024, the next biennium, we would like to look at doing something about this statute, possibly doing it a little differently, not by precinct, by voter population. We feel that will be more equitable across the counties. But, based on your question, $255 per precinct is pretty low. And I believe that was in 1984. It's my understanding the County Clerks Association did a project, just like a consulting project, to see how much they were spending per precinct in 2019, and it was about $2,000 per precinct. So it's quite a bit of difference. There's two other statutes that we also could consider. They're in statute. One is KRS 116.145. We pay the counties 25 cents per each newly registered voter. Now that's annual, I believe, correct?
Correct. That's paid April through April and dispersed in May.
Right.
To the county.
And that's after they, reach out to us, the treasurer of their county. The other one is 117.343. Right now, it's 50 cents per registered voter for costs of personnel necessary to conduct elections. I will tell you as well, that's another one that's been in statute for many, many years, and 50 cents per registered voter. Many counties have 1, 2, 3 deputies that do nothing but election work every day that they're there. Whether it's voter registration, recruitment of poll workers, there is always something that the counties are doing toward elections. That, again, is paid similarly. And right now it's in statute 50 cents, but it would be something maybe to look at.
And do you know if that's updated as they've been cleaning up some of the voter rolls? Is that updated as they're doing it, or is it done annually? Or
Well, I'll let Rachel speak to when we do that, and it will be.
Yes, so the statute states that it's a maximum of 50 cents, but that's based on what we are given as our appropriation each year, and that can fluctuate. I've seen it fluctuate from 34 cents up to 50 cents during the pandemic. So the maximum is 50 cents, and that is declared. They are paid for that annually in May as well for that period.
So it would be,
The reports are run at the end of the year in May, so it would encompass the registered voters from the previous April to the April.
right.
Representative Johnson, did you have anything? Okay. Yeah, well, thank you all for being here today. Is there anything else?
I can't think of anything unless there's something you would like to ask us.
No, not that I can think of today.
Okay.
Oh, we do have one question.
Hello, Richard. Same hometown.
But we appreciate the opportunity to come and maybe speak about what we see or needs for election expenses moving forward as we get ready and prepare ourselves for the next biennium as well. So
Sounds great.
thank you all for
thank
your
so much.
time.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
All right, our next presenter is from the Office of Broadband Development and talking about the Broadband Deployment Fund, and Megan is here with us, so we'll let you introduce yourself and thank you for being here today.
Gotta switch presentations. Okay. I'm Megan SANDFOSS. I am the Executive Director of the Office of Broadband Development. This is a role that I started about 6 months ago, and it's been very busy since then, and it's been exciting. So just a little about myself. I spent 18 years working at the Northern Kentucky Area Development District, working on state and local government, community development, and public administration projects, including infrastructure projects. So since September, I've been meeting with stakeholders, managing the first round of grants. We also have the pole replacement grant that opened in September. Those are both funded out of the state and local fiscal recovery funds from ARPA. We've staged our website, and we've been working on expanding the capacity of the office with adding staff and a contractor. We have myself and one other full-time employee currently, and we are in the process of hiring additional staff. We've also contracted with Connected Nation, which is a Kentucky-based nonprofit with over 20 years of experience in broadband development. So this contract was provided for in the legislation that passed last year, and they are helping us with our planning and mapping efforts, as well as augmenting our staff capacity. So these are some of the activities we've been working on. We were awarded our BEAD initial planning funds. BEAD is the Broadband Equity Access and Deployment Fund through the NTIA. That is the big upcoming round of funding that we're actively planning for at this time. We had our U.S. Treasury Capital Projects Fund plan approved a couple months ago, and that was the $182 million for deployment projects, which added to the SLFRF funds, totaled $300 million. We filed over 15,000 fixed availability challenges to the FCC broadband map in early January to meet the NTIA deadline, because they are using the FCC data to determine the allocations for the BEAD funding nationwide. And we are currently working on our data collection for our statewide broadband map, working with the internet service providers around the state to collect data, and we're anticipating the map will be finished in early May. And also working on our statewide broadband plan. Both of those tasks were in the legislation as statutory requirements of the office. So those both also will help with our BEAD planning. So this is just a quick overview of the funding in the Commonwealth for broadband deployment. The first round of funding with the fiscal recovery funds, there was $117 million available, and $89.6 million were awarded to 47 projects for 34,000 new locations, and that was a total investment of over $204 million. The pole replacement grant fund is open for applications. There's $20 million available in that, and that will reimburse up to 50%, up to $5,000 per pole to extend broadband service in unserved areas. We're accepting applications there. That was for any projects that happened after July 1st of 2022. And then the Capital Projects Fund, we opened our grant round for that in November and closed it last month. There was $206 million, which was the remaining fiscal recovery funds, as well as the entire Capital Projects Fund allotment. And the priority there is for no service locations, which is the locations that have less than 10.1 speed. And we are currently in the challenge process where the applications that came in are being challenged by incumbent providers or providers that have grants or plans to build in those areas. So we received quite a few applications, 103 applications requesting $483 million in 77 counties. So there was quite a bit more interest than we have funds for to award at this point. And we're also planning for the BEAD program. We're expecting to get our allocation from the NTIA at the end of June, And I think the estimates we've heard, range from about $700 million up to $1.3 billion. So, hopefully we'll get around $1 billion for additional projects in Kentucky. So just an overview of the current round of funding that we are evaluating applications for. This was the program designed to meet the U.S. Treasury Capital Projects Fund requirements, as well as the requirements of KRS 224A 1121. So the priority for the no service locations and a higher grant percentage for the more rural and less dense projects to build networks that will exceed the 100 by 100 megabits per second symmetrical speed. And a lot of the applications that we received were proposing gig speeds or higher. So that was really exciting. It's a preference for fiber optic and last mile projects. The participants or the ISPs must participate in the Affordable Connectivity Program, which is a FCC subsidy program that gives eligible people a $30 a month discount on their internet subscriptions. It was a competitive grant program, and the projects must be operational by December 31st of 2026. So, like I said, the applications closed on February 6th. The challenge process began the following week, and we're hoping to have our determinations completed by April 21st. So we had 103 applications from 19 providers in 77 counties, and it was 99 fiber to home applications and 4 that proposed fiber to home and cable as a mix. And yeah, over $483 million requested. So for the BEAD program, that is what we're preparing for. There is $42.45 billion allocated through the IIJA for broadband deployment nationwide. And each state is guaranteed a minimum of $100 million, and the remaining funds will be distributed based on a formula that considers the number of unserved and high-cost locations in each state. So we're estimating, between that $700 million and $1.3 billion. So we have to prepare a plan and a proposal how we'll use the BEAD funds in our state and identify local and regional broadband service needs and gaps. This is important because we know even in areas where there is a really high, availability of broadband service, there's still those pockets of locations that haven't been served. And so we've got to get to those people to make sure that they have access to the high-speed internet. We also have to develop an extremely high cost per location threshold. This is an actual dollar figure that we have to determine where we would consider alternatives to fiber to serve those residents, and the funds have to be distributed to subrecipients through a competitive process.
Is that a federal requirement?
Yes.
Okay.
So our planning funds were awarded in November, and we're expecting to receive our allocation at the end of June. Our 5-year plan is due in August to the NTIA, and following the allocations, we have to submit our initial proposal of how we'll spend the funds to the NTIA. And at that point, when that's approved, they will release 20% of our allocation. So then at that point, we could open up requests for projects at that point. And those projects have to be completed by the end of 2027. So there's going to be a lot of broadband deployment going on at that point.
Now, is there a mechanism if a county or a local co-op, if they maybe don't sign something they should or whatever, do you have where you go back and help them make sure that grant is complete on time?
Yes.
Okay.
The initial planning grant we received will support the short-term planning and mapping projects that we're currently underway with, as well as staffing and office capacity through 2027. That's it's a 5-year term, sort of like the whole program. We've got to be done by 2027. We have aligned our outreach and planning with the Digital Equity Plan, which is also another NTIA program, and that is being coordinated through the Education and Labor Cabinet. and we have been holding our local coordination meetings statewide. We started in Western Kentucky in the middle of February, and we have been in southeastern Kentucky this week, and we've got 2 more weeks left. So we have been going out and hitting all the different areas.
Good.
So this is a little overview of where we've been. So we'll finish our last meeting in Northern Kentucky on March 23rd, but we have been we were in London yesterday and Hazard earlier this week. So we will also be conducting additional focus group meetings to get additional input from the industry groups and workforce development, healthcare, as well as state and local government. So now I can take any questions you have.
Okay. Representative?
I feel like I feel like I'm full of questions today. Can you explain about the pole replacement grant? Just refresh my memory.
Sure.
The
So-
pole replacement issue.
So the broadband utilities usually don't own the poles that they attach fiber to, and so when there's an instance where an electric company owns a pole that might be undersized or worn, that needs to be replaced in order to support the fiber, this will help cover the cost of some of the make-ready engineering requirements of the attaching to the poles.
Is the whole utility owning the pole, the companies wanting access to the pole, has that issue been resolved?
In some instances, there's still some delays in terms of permitting for those attachments. I think the ISPs tend to say that could be sped up a little bit. It delays projects.
That was a little thorny a while back. One more, sir. Explain if you would, briefly, the challenge process.
The challenge process
Yeah.
So we took applications that were proposing service to specific addresses and all over the state. And so if there is a situation where another internet service provider is already providing service there or has plans in the next 12 months to construct service there or has received another federal grant or state grant to do that, then we would request that the applicant remove those addresses from their project.
It's the has plans part of the
Yes, and so there was a penalty written into the legislation that if a provider challenged an address and was successful in having the applicant remove it, that if they did not construct that service within 12 months or up to 18 if they have a special circumstance, a delay, they would have to pay the amount of the grant plus 10% back to the Commonwealth.
There anything the state can do? Any unforeseen barriers that are in place that states or counties can help you with?
I think we're identifying the challenges and then looking at what the proposal is going to look like, how we're going to spend it. That's where we could probably use some input from you all.
Still preference the unserved areas
Yes.
first.
Still the no service and then the unserved, and then following that would be the underserved, which is the locations that have 25/3 up to 100 by 20 speeds.
Okay. I know I've spoken to people. I've talked to you about it, where you have these pockets of people who are served, and you have 2 or 3 houses, and it's just this island that they've had companies come out and can't figure out why
Yes.
they can't get it.
Yes.
So hopefully those things can be addressed too.
That's-
The mapping will help with that.
Yes,
won't
it will.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you so much.
right, thank you.
Any further questions? All right. Not seeing any. Pardon? Now we can call
you.
roll since we have another 2 members here. Would you like to have a question? Okay. Thank you for being here, Megan.
Ready? Representative Brown. Representative Imes. Representative DJ Johnson. Representative Palumbo. Representative Petrie. Representative Reed. Representative Bratcher, and Chair Freeland.
Present. Now, can we approve the minutes from last meeting now? Not yet? Okay. I don't think we've been able to do that, have we? Yeah. I think this is our last meeting of this session, so yeah, we'll address that next time. All right, well, thank you so much. That'll conclude the meeting.